Hello and welcome to my new YouTube channel, Marie's Scrappy Creations. I love scraps. I've always loved scrap fabric and I've always saved scrap fabric ever since I started quilting, sewing. I did start out with quilting before I sewed anything, and now I haven't made a quilt in quite some time. I love small projects. About 6 months ago, I realized how many scraps I have, and I save anything larger than 1 inch. So I have a lot of scraps that are called crumbs, like this size, and I think they're beautiful. I think you hook them together, you get some wonderful combinations that are colorful and vibrant. They make beautiful zippered bags and all sorts of things. So I got the idea to start a YouTube channel because I don't know of a sewer that doesn't have a lot of scraps. Well, other than a friend of mine, because she gives me all of hers. So some people who sew would consider something this size to be a scrap. And I guess it is. It's just the cut off a piece of yardage that what's left. For me, that would make lining for a zippered bag, the back of a pot holder, bowl of cozies, any number of things. So to me, that's not a scrap, but it might be for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's smaller pieces than that. There's a piece that's getting scrappy. It's getting there. Still a lot of use in it. Because I want you to think about it. You paid as much per yard for this piece of fabric as you did for what you already cut from it. So you don't want to throw it away. Now from some of the crumbs, and again, those are the little pieces I showed you, I've made some pieces of fabric that are quite large. So the larger they get, the more I can do with them. I could make a tote bag, I could make a quilt, there's any number of items I could make, and that's what led me to the idea of starting the YouTube channel. Because as I said, I don't know of very many sewers who don't have scraps. So what we need is a whole year worth of video of showing what to do with them. So if you want to sew along with me, you can join me every week, and we're going to make all kinds of scrap projects. Now, what will you need other than your scraps? Oh, and I also want to mention, if you don't have scraps, buy some yardage. There's nothing at all that we're making that you can't use just some fabric that you've bought. It will work well. It will work perfect. First off, I would say to get some cotton batting. And that's 100% cotton batting, also called quilt batting. You don't want polyester or a polyester blend because it will not hold up to the heat of the iron. And the way I show you to do things, you are going to be using an iron. So you're going to want to have your scraps, your sewing machine, maybe some pins would be really helpful, an iron, and before next week, just grab your thread, fill some bobbins up, and the color doesn't really matter because if we're using scraps, there are all kinds of colors. So the colors that you use for thread aren't really going to matter unless you are top stitching. So next week we'll go over a few different ways to join our scraps, because sometimes you have small, odd-shaped pieces. Other times you have long, narrow strips. You could have triangles. You could have large pieces. So there's more than one way to join them, as you can imagine. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is I follow a lot of YouTubers, and I just love to learn from so many of them. They have wonderful ideas. But the one thing that I noticed is that almost every single one of them have a dedicated sewing room. I don't have that. I'm in my dining room. So if you're in your kitchen or your living room, if you're clearing off the kitchen table after the kids do their homework, that's fine. You can make it work. You don't need to have your own sewing room in order to sew. You just need to have a little bit of time carved out where you can enjoy what you're doing. And I guess I just wanted to say that you don't need a perfect setup for it. You can make anything work. So I hope you join me next week. Grab your scraps, get everything together, and I'll be back on Saturday with a video. Now don't forget to like the video and subscribe. If you subscribe, you will get a notification when there's a new upload, and hopefully I can get all this to work right. So until next week, get everything together, have fun, see you then.